long time. I am the best heavyweight in the division. I'm the best heavyweight in this era. I'm just waiting on.
You know, guys, as I was reading this little article here, it made more and more sense to me as to why Deontay Wilder was protected throughout his championship run. It made more sense to me as to why his record was padded. It made more sense to me just reading this article because, you know, Wilder explains the importance of keeping the WBC belt in America. And I'll be quoting some of the things that he said. He says, being the heavyweight champion and holding that title, the American sports landscape is a huge deal. On the American sports landscape is a huge deal. There was a time where that person was as well known as the president. I'm going to keep leaving a path of destruction inside of the ring so that everyone knows I am the one name and the one face of the heavyweight division. Okay, let me keep reading here. Fighters like Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and more have paved the way for me. Now I'm going to take what they started and make sure that the heavyweight world championship stays in America for a long time. Now, to me, to me, what this means is this, when it came to the United States was always filled with, when it came to the United States boxing, the heavyweights, right? For many years, America has produced many great American champions. I mean, for several years, the heavyweight division was ruled by the Americans, right? There was a bunch of American fighters, but obviously, during like the mid 90s, to the early to mid 2000s, it was really a drought season, right? There wasn't no American champion. Matter of fact, especially during the like 2000s, the mid 2000s, the majority of American heavyweights, they sucked. I told you guys in my previous videos, a long time ago, when I was growing up watching boxing, there was no good American heavyweights. This was back in the mid 2000s. Every heavyweight I looked was basically, if not from the Ukraine, from Germany. If not from Germany, from Poland. If not from Poland, from the UK. There was not, and any of the American heavyweights that we did have, they were not good. They were not good heavyweights. They sucked. You had guys like Calvin Brock, who the minute he stepped up got absolutely mauled against Klitschko. You had guys like Seth Mitchell. You had these guys that they weren't good heavyweights. They were guys that were maybe top 30 heavyweights. And for the longest time, it was like a drought. And then Deontay Wilder broke that curse, right? When he won the WBC belt, he kind of broke that curse, of there not being no champions at heavyweight. Because remember, it had been literally 9 years since there was a champion, an American heavyweight champion, and Deontay Wilder broke that. And I made a video about this a long time ago saying that I believe that when Deontay Wilder broke the drought in American boxing, in American heavyweight boxing, and he brought back that WBC belt to the United States, I believe there was a plan, and that plan was to have that belt hostage and stay in the United States. Deontay Wilder himself said that he's going to do whatever he can to have this title stay in America for as long as he possibly can. This explains why in his very first title defense, he fought a bum named Eric Molina. This explains why he was fighting guys like Johan Duhaupas, Arthur Spilkas, guys who back then weren't really known at all. This explains that. Even before he fought for a world championship belt, he was fighting carefully choose opponents. He was carefully picked opponents. Why? Because they wanted him to fight for a world championship belt. So they were padding his record, right? And once he became a champion, they were picking and choosing his opponents carefully because they wanted him to have these easy title defenses. So seeing this and reading him say stuff like, I'm going to make sure this belt stays in the United States for as long as it possibly can. This lets me know as to why he ducked the tough fights. Why he never unified with Klitschko. Because obviously, had he unified with Klitschko back in 2015, he most definitely would have lost to Klitschko. And then it's over. His belt would have been back in the Ukraine with Klitschko. This explains why he wasn't taking these tough fights. This explains why he's looking at Anthony Joshua. Because if he loses to Anthony Joshua, the belt's going to the UK, right? Wilder and his team, they want to have that belt hostage here in the United States for as long as they possibly could. Because for the many years there was a drought season in the heavyweight division when it came to the American heavyweight boxers. And you know, his team already does not have confidence in him, and so that's why they don't want to unify. So that's why they're happy just having that one belt. They're happy just having that one belt, defending it because hey, at least there's a heavyweight champion in the United States named Deontay Wilder. Even if, you know, he's not becoming undisputed, at least they could still say, hey, we're the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. And that's the difference between like Joshua and like Eddie Hearn. They take these risks in these unification fights because they want to try and, you know, they're not scared to lose. They're trying to go out there and be great and be undisputed. But when it comes to Wilder and his team, they're afraid of losing that belt and it leaving the United States. They're afraid of that belt leaving the United States. So they want that belt to stay here in the United States. And this is why they're cherry picking, and this is why they're stalling the fight. Because, like I said, Wilder said in this very interview, he wants this belt to stay in the United States for as long as possible. So, again, I feel that the only way Wilder would finally attempt to unify, you know, with another champion, is if Joshua were to lose or if he were to get stripped, and then he fights for the vacant title against a weak opponent. And then that's how he could win that belt, you know. Again, I just feel that they're trying to have that belt hostage in the U.S. just because of how long the U.S. was without a heavyweight champion. And I've mentioned these kind of things in the past in a lot of my previous videos. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think of what I'm saying in this video. And I'm out, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new, man.